but I wanted to go live because why not? So, hold on. Hold that thought. I'm here. Hold on. Don't mind if I do. So I'm super excited to get these in today. Birthday cake. Why not have a quote-unquote snack? I'm so excited about the Pro Bars. The birthday cake is my favorite. It legit tastes like vanilla birthday cake with icing. Kim, you're gonna love them. They're awesome. I got the cinnamon ones, they're somewhere around here. I don't know, I have a lot of Thrive in the kitchen. So, I'm giving a box of Pro Bars away to the next 2 people who place their order of their Thrive experience for the first time. You get your choice of the birthday cake or the cinnamon roll. Both are amazing. I love birthday cake. I like birthday cake ice cream. I like birthday cake shake. I like birthday cake everything. So it's really, really delicious. Hold that thought for a second. I'm all over the place. So not organized because there's no good lighting in the kitchen today. A lot of you know I Thrive. A lot of you know that I'm very passionate about Thrive because it's literally has changed my life. I'm no more cranky mom. I'm no more irritable mom. No more irritable wife. Makes this Valentine's extra special because I'm in a good mood. And Chris is going to be really excited to see the Pro Bars here for his birthday. So if you are not familiar with the Pro Bars, 20 grams of protein, 3 grams of sugar. They're gluten-free. Super awesome. What else do you guys want to know about them? Besides, they're good. Like legit. So, I'm also today making samples for my customers. Potential. So if you're needing a sample, I have samples. So each little baggie is going to get put together. It's a Valentine's bag. I will, Kim. I get them everywhere. Tyler, the box is of the Pro Bars are $30. Happy Valentine's Day. So, but I'm giving them away, Tyler, so just let me know. So you're going to get 3 capsules, men's or women, 3 of the lifestyle mix, and 3 DFTs. If you want a mini experience to experience Thrive, comment below.
It was February 14th, 2018, at exactly 8:15 p.m., when thousands of viewers tuned in to a Valentine's Day live stream hosted by Shanann Watts, a woman whose warmth and energy seemed to light up every room she entered. Friends, followers, and strangers alike watched as she smiled, laughed, and shared intimate moments of her life, talking about love, family, and the small victories that made each day meaningful. At that very moment, no one could have guessed that this seemingly ordinary evening would become one of the last public glimpses of a life that was about to unravel in ways no one could have imagined. Shanann spoke openly to her audience, her voice carrying a rare honesty as she detailed her plans, her joys, and the excitement she felt about the life she was building with her husband Chris and their young daughters. She laughed as she recounted memories and dreams, the camera capturing a warmth that felt authentic, inviting, and safe. Yet behind her bright smile, questions lingered, questions that viewers would only begin to understand in the days that followed. How could a life that appeared so perfect be hiding fractures that no one could see? How could the love she radiated in that moment coexist with the shadows that were quietly growing elsewhere? Before we continue this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to follow every episode of our deep dive true crime series. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear. Your support keeps this channel alive, and by joining our YouTube membership, you unlock exclusive perks, enjoy premium content, and help us continue telling the stories you care about. Tonight, we will step behind the screen, into the unseen corners of Shanann's world, and begin to unravel a story that started with smiles and ended in heartbreak. A story that challenges everything we thought we knew about trust, family, and the quiet dangers that can hide in plain sight. It was February 14, 2018, around 8:10 p.m., and Shanann Watts was preparing for her live session with Thrive, her social media wellness community. Her hands moved quickly, adjusting the camera, making sure the lighting captured her perfectly, as if every frame mattered. "Hey everyone, happy Valentine's Day," she began, her voice carrying a warmth that drew viewers in instantly. She talked about love, self-care, and the joys of family, occasionally glancing at her phone to read comments from hundreds of followers chiming in from across the country. Her energy was radiant, her laughter genuine, yet beneath that lively smile, the quiet pressure of life at home was beginning to mount. Shanann had been juggling a newborn, 2 daughters, a demanding husband, and her thriving social business, all while trying to maintain an image of perfection. Her eyes flickered for a moment toward the empty side of the couch where Chris should have been sitting, a subtle unease that viewers couldn't see but that would later take on a darker significance. As she continued, Shanann spoke candidly about the challenges of maintaining a healthy relationship, encouraging her audience to communicate openly and to make time for intimacy and honesty. "Love isn't just the grand gestures," she said, leaning closer to the camera. "It's the little things, the moments you think don't matter but actually do." Her message resonated with her audience, but for those who knew the Watts family, her words carried an unintended irony. Her husband Chris had been showing signs of detachment for months, small arguments over finances, brief moments of frustration that escalated quickly, and quiet evenings spent apart. What Shanann didn't say, and what viewers couldn't perceive in that live session, was that Chris had begun making secret arrangements that would shatter the family's life in just a few days. Shanann's children, Celeste and Bella, played in the background, giggling and chasing each other, unaware of the tension hovering over the home. Shanann's eyes softened as she watched them, and she turned back to her camera to share advice on parenting and nurturing joy in children. "These little moments," she said, her voice slightly trembling but determined, "they are the heart of life. Don't let them slip by unnoticed." Her audience responded with a flood of heart emojis, messages of encouragement, and gratitude for her authenticity, oblivious to the storm that was quietly building just outside the frame. Then, just as the session neared the 20-minute mark, Shanann paused to take a breath, her gaze shifting off-camera. A message on her phone caught her attention, a text from Chris that simply read, "We need to talk tonight." She smiled briefly at the comment, typing back, "Of course, love, we will," but her fingers lingered over the keyboard. Something about the brevity of his message unsettled her, though she quickly shook off the unease and turned back to the camera. Her audience, still focused on her guidance and warmth, couldn't have imagined that within days, the life she had so vividly shared would collapse in a tragedy that would grip the nation. As the live session wrapped, Shanann's final words were cheerful and reassuring, her hand waving as she signed off. "Remember to celebrate love today, in big ways and small. Hold your people close." The screen went dark, the stream ended, and the laughter of children echoed faintly through the empty house. But that echo, familiar and comforting, would soon be replaced by silence, and the questions of what really happened in those final days would linger far longer than anyone anticipated. February 12, 2018, 8:15 a.m., Frederick, Colorado. The morning sun cut across the quiet suburban streets, painting a picture of calm that belied the tension simmering beneath the surface of the Watts household. Shanann Watts, vibrant and determined, had just finished a late-night business call with her Thrive Network clients and was now preparing for the Valentine's Day live session she had planned for the following day. Her energy was palpable, friends and family often described her as a force of positivity, the kind of person who could light up a room with a single laugh. "I just want to make people feel like they can take control of their lives," she had said to a friend during a coffee chat the day before, unaware that the very control she cherished was about to be shattered. Chris Watts, her husband, was in the kitchen, quietly scrolling through his phone, seemingly distant. Those closest to him later described a man who could appear perfectly normal, devoted even, but whose private world was far more complicated. His co-workers had noticed small changes in his demeanor in recent weeks: longer hours at work, distracted conversations, moments where his gaze seemed to drift. At the time, no one suspected that these shifts were part of a much darker story. That morning, the couple's 2 young daughters played nearby, laughing and unaware that their lives were about to be forever altered. Shanann had posted an Instagram story around 8:22 a.m., a radiant smile paired with a cup of coffee, her caption brimming with excitement: "Countdown to our Valentine's Day live, can't wait to share this with you all." Her followers saw only the warmth and energy she radiated, nothing hinting at the turbulence quietly building behind closed doors. Chris, in contrast, left for his job at Anadarko Petroleum around 7:30 a.m., but that day, friends and neighbors would later recount that something about his movement seemed off. A neighbor would remember glancing out the window around 9 a.m., noticing Chris pulling into the driveway unusually early, his demeanor stiff, almost rehearsed. By late morning, Shanann's friends began sending texts, expecting the usual cheerful responses. Messages went unanswered. Her family, accustomed to her prompt replies, began to feel unease creeping in, a subtle alarm that something was amiss. Even small, seemingly insignificant deviations from routine can weigh heavily when layered over weeks of unnoticed tension. By mid-afternoon, Shanann still hadn't posted her Valentine's Day teaser live video, an action that, on the surface, seemed trivial but would later gain grave significance in understanding the sequence of events that followed. As investigators would later uncover, the early hours of that day contained fragments of evidence and behavioral clues that, when pieced together, would paint a chilling picture of premeditation. Emails, text messages, social media interactions, they all contained small signs, subtle warnings of a reality no one outside that home could imagine. And yet, at the time, every casual observer, every friend, and family member saw only what they wanted to see: a picture of a happy, thriving family preparing for a celebratory day. By 5 p.m., neighbors would recall seeing a strange stillness settling over the Watts home, a silence that did not belong in a house usually filled with laughter. And somewhere in that silence, decisions had already been made, choices that would send ripples far beyond the quiet streets of Frederick. February 12, 2018, late afternoon. The calm of the Frederick neighborhood had shifted, something in the air felt heavier, though no one could have anticipated the gravity of what was unfolding inside the Watts home. Chris Watts had returned from work earlier than usual, claiming a short day at the office, but the pattern of his actions already seemed calculated to mask intentions that would soon come to light. While Shanann was downstairs preparing for her Thrive Live broadcast, arranging her notes and checking her camera angles, Chris was quietly moving through the house, attending to what neighbors would later describe as mundane tasks: watering plants, adjusting items on the kitchen counter, doing laundry, but the rhythm of his movements carried an unusual precision, as if he were rehearsing steps no one would understand. Shanann's phone buzzed repeatedly that afternoon. Messages from friends popped up, excited about her upcoming live stream. "Can't wait to see you today, Shanann. The energy you bring is unmatched," one read. Another added, "Your Valentine's Day live is going to be amazing, don't forget to show us your tips." She responded with her characteristic warmth, her replies full of emojis and enthusiasm, completely unaware that the day would take a turn so devastating. At 4:22 p.m., she sent one final text to a close friend: "Just finishing up my prep, can't wait to share this moment with everyone. Love you." That message would later be noted by investigators as one of the last outward signs of her usual life before everything changed. Meanwhile, Chris made a series of phone calls, brief conversations that at the time seemed ordinary, checking in with coworkers, confirming work schedules, but each interaction, when examined in hindsight, revealed a web of secrecy and avoidance. Friends and family later reported that Chris appeared unusually reserved that evening, his smiles absent, his responses clipped, and his attention elsewhere. Conversations about Valentine's Day plans were met with vague nods or distracted glances toward the girls, who continued to play, blissfully unaware of the tension surrounding them. By 5:30 p.m., Shanann was wrapping up her preparations for the live stream, moving from room to room, adjusting lighting, checking her laptop, and mentally rehearsing what she would share with her followers. Her passion for her Thrive business was evident in every movement, every careful placement of notes and props. Chris, in contrast, retreated briefly to the garage, ostensibly to fetch tools, but neighbors would later remember seeing him stand silently, looking toward the house with a stillness that hinted at a private deliberation. As the evening approached, the household settled into a rhythm that, to an outsider, might have seemed perfectly ordinary. Dinner was prepared, the girls were bathed and tucked into routines, and Shanann made a last check of her devices. But within that quiet, investigators would later uncover the fragments of a plan set in motion hours earlier. Behavioral anomalies, gaps in timelines, and digital footprints that would later provide critical evidence. These details, invisible to friends and neighbors, revealed a sequence of choices that would culminate in tragedy. By 6 p.m., the first hints of alarm began to emerge, not for the public, not yet, but within the private spaces of the Watts home, signaling a moment where the ordinary blurred into the unimaginable. Evening shadows stretched across the neighborhood, carrying a stillness that contrasted sharply with the laughter and activity from earlier in the day. The house, outwardly the same, held secrets that no smile or social media post could conceal. And somewhere in that quiet, the next steps were already unfolding, steps that would irrevocably change the lives of everyone involved, leaving behind questions, grief, and disbelief that the world would soon witness. February 12, 2018, just after 6:15 p.m. The Watts home had settled into an uneasy quiet. The girls, Celeste and Bella, were engaged in their usual bedtime routine, laughing over toys and whispered secrets, while Shanann moved between rooms, finalizing details for her Valentine's Day Thrive live session. Her energy remained undiminished, her focus on sharing tips and inspiration was as bright as ever. Yet, behind closed doors, Chris Watts was navigating the day in an entirely different frame of mind, one that would remain hidden until the horrifying truth emerged. Chris's phone records later revealed brief but telling exchanges with his extramarital contact. Texts sent earlier in the day appeared mundane, discussing logistics, but when paired with his odd behavior, prolonged periods of silence, frequent trips outside the home, and meticulous attention to seemingly trivial household tasks, a pattern emerges. There was a careful orchestration, a methodical pacing to his day that contrasted sharply with the warmth and openness Shanann displayed on social media and in private conversations. By 6:45 p.m., Shanann had begun her live broadcast, greeting her followers with her usual charm, "Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Tonight we're diving into love, motivation, and growth, and I am so excited to be here with you all." Her smile, vibrant and genuine, masked nothing of the day's approaching darkness. During the broadcast, she interacted with dozens of viewers, responding to messages, giving advice, and maintaining an energy that had become a hallmark of her online presence. "It's about connection," she said, speaking into the camera, her tone warm, encouraging, full of the empathy that defined her Thrive community. Behind the camera, Chris moved silently, attending to details that would later seem trivial. A glass moved slightly, a note adjusted, but each small action was a piece of a puzzle that investigators would later reconstruct. His outward calm masked internal decisions, ones that would soon culminate in irreversible actions. Neighbors recalled unusual observations around this time: a car leaving the driveway, Chris standing quietly by the fence, hands in pockets, expression unreadable. These fleeting moments, unnoticed at the time, would later provide key insights into the timing of events and the dissonance between appearance and reality. The juxtaposition was striking: a loving mother engaging her community, a man moving silently through spaces that moments before held laughter and life, and children playing, unaware of the tension in the atmosphere. By 7:30 p.m., Shanann concluded her live session, thanking viewers and encouraging them to embrace love and positivity. "Remember," she said, "every connection matters. Reach out, support one another, and take a moment to share joy tonight." She signed off with a wave, unaware that within the hour, her home and family would be at the center of a tragedy that would shock the nation. Chris's movements that evening, reconstructed from timestamps, call logs, and eyewitness accounts, revealed a deliberate sequencing, actions timed and executed in private spaces where no one could observe or intervene. The evening shadows had lengthened further, and the house that had moments ago been a place of routine and comfort was now poised on the edge of horror. The world outside remained oblivious, neighbors continued evening walks, traffic hummed along the streets, and phones buzzed with ordinary messages. Yet, within the walls of the Watts residence, a sequence of choices was unfolding, choices that would shatter the perception of normalcy and leave a community grappling with the incomprehensible. Each passing minute was a step toward a reality that no one could yet imagine, a reality that would ultimately leave questions about love, deception, and human behavior lingering far beyond the confines of the house. February 13, 2018, early morning, Frederick, Colorado. The town stirred under a cold, gray sky, unaware that the Watts family's world had shifted irreversibly in the previous hours. Chris Watts had reported Shanann and the girls missing, a claim that would soon unravel under scrutiny, exposing a carefully hidden truth that stunned investigators and the public alike. From the moment police arrived at the Watts residence around 10:30 a.m., the contrast between appearance and reality became increasingly evident. Officers noted the absence of signs of forced entry, the home seemingly undisturbed, yet a deeper, invisible fracture had occurred within its walls. During interviews, Chris appeared composed, cooperative, and outwardly concerned. "I just don't understand it," he told Detective Michael Doherty during the initial questioning. "They left early this morning, and they haven't come back. I'm worried something happened." His voice carried a tone of genuine worry, yet inconsistencies in his story began to emerge under careful questioning. Detectives noted subtle hesitations, repeated phrases, and timelines that didn't align with digital evidence. Every moment of dialogue became a focal point, a potential clue in the painstaking reconstruction of events that had already taken place. Investigators quickly turned to digital forensics. Chris's phone data, texts, and GPS pings revealed movements inconsistent with his stated activities. Evidence began pointing toward calculated actions taken the night before, actions that starkly contradicted the narrative he presented to police and family. Forensic analysis would later confirm a timeline that placed critical movements around key locations, correlating with physical evidence collected from the site. Every item, every timestamp, every interaction became a piece in the complex puzzle that would eventually reveal the unthinkable. As the day progressed, friends and relatives gathered outside the Watts home, offering support while grappling with disbelief. Shanann's mother, Sandy, remembered the last time she had spoken with her daughter, a cheerful call on the evening of February 12. She was excited about her live session, Sandy recounted, her voice breaking. She talked about love, about growth, about connecting with people. "I never imagined anything could go wrong." These recollections painted a stark picture, a devoted mother and thriving online coach, full of energy and positivity, juxtaposed with a sequence of actions that would soon be revealed as deliberate, leading to one of the most shocking domestic cases in recent American history. By late afternoon, investigators expanded their search beyond the home, examining property, vehicles, and known locations tied to Chris. Each discovery added tension and clarity: oil-stained rags found near the worksite, surveillance footage capturing unusual movements, and cell phone pings establishing presence at remote locations. These clues, while small individually, collectively painted a growing portrait of premeditation. Specialists in criminal psychology noted patterns consistent with control, secrecy, and careful manipulation of circumstance, a methodical orchestration designed to evade detection for as long as possible. Public attention grew rapidly as media outlets covered the missing family, sharing photos and pleas for information. Social media buzzed with concern, speculation, and grief, creating a digital footprint of collective hope and fear. Meanwhile, police continued meticulous interviews with friends, neighbors, and colleagues, slowly assembling a picture of relationships, pressures, and interactions within the Watts household. Each layer peeled back revealed complexities in the marriage, contrasting public personas, and hidden tensions that only now were becoming visible under investigative scrutiny. By evening, investigators had pieced together the framework of the day prior, actions taken in private, carefully timed movements, and a series of decisions that would soon become central to the case. Every interview, every forensic detail, every cell phone ping brought them closer to the truth, an unfolding reality that was far more devastating than anyone outside the house could imagine. The stage was set for revelations that would shock the community, challenge perceptions of ordinary life, and force the nation to confront unsettling questions about trust, love, and human behavior. The events that began on February 13, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, left an indelible mark on the community, the family, and the nation. In the weeks that followed, the investigation unfolded with meticulous precision, revealing the devastating truth behind the Watts family disappearance. Chris Watts, once seen as a devoted husband and father, would confess to the murders of Shanann and their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste. His admissions shocked not only those who knew him but an entire country that had watched the story unfold with growing horror. The confession, recorded on February 15, 2018, left no room for doubt, corroborated by forensic evidence and detailed timelines, tracing each calculated step leading to the tragedy. Court proceedings would later illuminate the complexity of the case. Shanann's family, friends, and colleagues were called to testify, sharing intimate memories and recounting the joy and positivity she had brought to the lives of many. Shanann was always thinking of others, a close friend recounted. She wanted everyone to thrive, to feel seen, and to live fully. The love she poured into her family and her community was endless. These testimonies highlighted the stark contrast between the life Shanann cultivated and the hidden dynamics of her marriage. Public reaction reflected both grief and outrage, sparking discussions on domestic violence, deception, and the importance of noticing subtle signs in everyday life. The legal process, though swift in many ways, emphasized the meticulous work required to establish intent, motive, and chronology. Evidence collected from the home, vehicles, and remote sites formed the backbone of the prosecution's case. Digital records, GPS tracking, and cell phone data were pivotal, piecing together movements and actions that, on the surface, appeared ordinary but ultimately revealed a pattern of planning. Expert psychologists provided insight into Chris Watts' behavior, noting signs of detachment, manipulation, and emotional disconnection, helping jurors understand the psychological context behind the actions. The sentence handed down on November 19, 2018, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, served as both legal closure and a solemn reminder of the human cost of betrayal and violence. The legacy of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, however, lives on in ways that transcend the tragedy. Charitable efforts, community initiatives, and digital remembrance projects honor their memory, shining light on the lives lost and the enduring impact of a family who, despite their fate, continues to inspire empathy, awareness, and vigilance. Social media archives of Shanann's coaching and motivational content now serve as digital time capsules, capturing the vibrancy of her presence and the lessons she hoped to impart to the world. Each post, each video, each memory shared by family and friends preserves the warmth and positivity that defined her life, offering solace to those still grappling with the enormity of loss. As we reflect on the Watts case, the questions linger: how can ordinary lives conceal extraordinary darkness? What signs can be observed, and what interventions might prevent similar tragedies? The story serves as a cautionary tale, underscoring the need for vigilance, awareness, and compassion in our communities. For those following this journey, the lessons are as profound as they are unsettling, urging us to consider the fragility of trust, the consequences of deception, and the depth of human complexity. Before we close this chapter, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video to follow every episode of our deep dive true crime series. Where are you watching this from? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thank you for being part of this journey, for engaging with these stories, and for honoring the lives at the center of them. The Watts family story may have ended in tragedy, but its lessons and the memories of those lost remain with us, shaping awareness, empathy, and understanding in ways that continue to resonate far beyond the headlines.